Pressure doesn't usually arrive all at once. It rarely shows up as a clear, overwhelming moment where everything suddenly feels too much. Instead, it builds gradually. A responsibility gets added, an expectation takes hold, a few extra things get placed on your plate that seem manageable at first. And for a while, you carry it well. You stay responsible, you keep things moving, you handle what needs to be handled. But over time, something begins to shift. There's a subtle feeling that starts to sit in the background, like you're always slightly behind, like there's always something else you should be doing. Like even when you stop, your mind doesn't. That's often where this begins, not with overwhelm, but with accumulation. I noticed this in my own life during a time when everything looked fairly normal on the surface. Work was steady, my responsibilities were manageable, nothing seemed out of control, but internally something felt different. Even small tasks started to feel heavier. I remember opening my planner one day and expecting that familiar sense of organization. But instead, I felt a quiet weight. Not stress, not panic, just a steady sense that something was always waiting. And later that evening, I had a realization I hadn't noticed before. I couldn't remember the last time my mind had been fully at rest. Even in quiet moments, there was always something running in the background. That's when I stopped and asked, is this about my schedule? Or is it about the weight I've been carrying without realizing it? If you want a simple weekly reset like this, you can join my email list below. This doesn't come from one thing, it comes from layers, responsibilities, expectations, standards we've learned to live by. And many of those standards were never consciously chosen. They were absorbed. The idea that you should always be productive, that you should have things figured out by now, and that you should be able to handle everything on your own. Individually, they seem reasonable, but over time they stack, and eventually the weight becomes noticeable. You can do everything right, meeting your responsibilities, showing up for your life, and still feel like something is becoming heavier. That heaviness is often the first signal that something has been building beneath the surface. There are a few quiet signs that this may be happening. The first is constant mental activity. Your mind rarely feels still. The second is difficulty feeling finished. You complete something, but your focus immediately shifts. The third is a lingering sense of feeling behind. The fourth is a decision fatigue. And the fifth is that rest doesn't fully restore you. Individually, these may seem small, but put them together and they create a constant underlying strain. When your mind is carrying too much, it becomes harder to see clearly. Not because you're incapable, but because there's too much noise competing for your attention. By this stage, many women are carrying years of accumulated responsibility. And alongside those responsibilities are internal expectations, ideas about where life should be by now. That combination creates a quiet sense of urgency. But that urgency often makes things feel more unclear, not less. One of the most helpful shifts for me came when I stopped asking how to manage everything better. Instead, I asked, what am I carrying that no longer needs to be carried? Awareness is where this begins, because once you can see what you've been carrying, you can start deciding what actually belongs. Trying to push harder inside a life that already feels heavy rarely solves the problem. What changes things is clarity. If this is resonating with you, everything is linked below if you want to stay connected. If things have been feeling heavier lately, it may simply mean that too much has been added over time, because once you notice it, you can begin to release what no longer fits. And when that happens, something important returns. Space, calm, clarity. Progress doesn't come from pressure, it comes from clarity.